My name is Nassime Saps.
The whole thing, it was a misunderstanding that, quote, law enforcement asked for the tools that were contained in the Emergencies Act, end quote.
Our memories are very clear on this side of the House. The minister repeatedly stated that police recommended that the government invoke the Emergencies Act. Right. But now we know that not a single police force in this country made that recommendation. The minister has had multiple opportunities to clarify, but he stood by his statement. And now his deputy minister is saying, well, the minister was misunderstood. Who is telling the truth? The public safety minister or his most senior public servant?
The Honourable Minister for Public Safety. Mr. Speaker, I want to be absolutely clear that last winter, when we saw an unprecedented public order emergency in the opinion of law enforcement, we filled the gaps that existed within authorities which were not effective at the time to restore public safety. Prior to invoking the Emergencies Act, we sought the advice, as any responsible government would do, prior to invoking the Act. And you heard Commissioner Lucky say that we needed, for example, power to compel tow trucks as a result of protesters who wouldn't leave. I wonder why they wouldn't leave, Mr. Speaker. They wouldn't leave because Conservatives were egging them on to stay. That was wrong, and we invoked it to protect Canadians, Mr. Speaker.
That's a distinction? That's a clarification? No, that is more lies. Well, you know something, folks? Enough is enough. We can't have the public safety minister and his minions lie and keep on lying about the Emergencies Act that was invoked and about how the rights and liberties and freedoms of law-abiding Canadians were stripped away.
Kundgebungen, mit denen ich empfangen worden bin, haben mich tief bewegt. Man darf meinen Besuch nicht nach demselben Maßstab messen wie die üblichen diplomatisch-politischen Besuche. Die Tatsache, dass ich heute nach Deutschland gekommen bin, bedeutet nicht, dass ich morgen woanders hinfahren werde. Die Nationalsozialisten und Faschisten wollen den Frieden und werden immer bereit sein, für den Frieden zu arbeiten, einen wirklichen, fruchtbaren Frieden, der die Fragen des Sieghaus des Zusammenlebens der Völker ergeben, nicht mit Stillschweigen übergeht, sondern sie löst. Umgebungen, mit denen ich empfangen worden bin, haben mich tief bewegt. Man darf meinen Besuch nicht nach demselben Maßstab messen wie die üblichen diplomatisch-politischen Besuche. Die Tatsache, dass ich heute nach Deutschland gekommen bin, bedeutet nicht, dass ich morgen woanders hinfahren werde. Die Nationalsozialisten und Faschisten wollen den Frieden und werden immer bereit sein, für den Frieden zu arbeiten, einen wirklichen.
This is the exact location where the sons of God, the fallen angels, came to earth for the first time. They chose the daughters of men and began their campaign of genetic contamination upon the earth at this location. Hermon in the Hebrew is Sherman, which comes from the Hebrew in the word sharam, meaning to seclude by destruction, make accursed, consecrate, and destroy. And by the way, the word consecrate, we're going to see that again in the book of Enoch later on. So as we look at this location, this high place of 9,000 feet with a flat level top, this location of the first contact between fallen angels and humans, first contact, of course, being since the fall of Adam and Eve at the Garden of Eden, we can now see where the inspiration has come from in the building of structures to reach unto heaven. This became temples of worship to the gods. One of the earliest forms of this is located in Iraq during the about 5,500 years to the time of the ancient Sumerians in the cradle of civilization. Mount Hermon and the replicas. They became more elaborate as time went on. They started including staircases, like the temples that were found in in Iraq. That's just south of Babylon, or south of Baghdad, by the way. Also in the cradle of civilization in the Mesopotamia Valley. Here's another pyramid found in Iraq. With the exception of smooth-faced pyramids, such as the ones found in Giza that we saw, most pyramids throughout the world were built with a flat top, and they had steps leading to that flat top. These are referred to as step ziggurats. Some of these step ziggurats had waiting rooms built on the flat top, and we'll look at a few of these in a minute. But after the flood, we read in Genesis chapter 11 that the people wanted to build a structure that would reach unto heaven. Now God was again dismayed at this, because this reaching unto heaven was in fact a contact of the fallen angels once again. They weren't talking about the kingdom of heaven, they were talking about second heaven, the universe, okay? And remember, we read in Genesis chapter 6, there were giants in those days, the flood, before the flood, and also after that, after the flood. But this time, God slowed down this external intervention by destroying the Tower of Babel, which was one of the first earlier built step ziggurats, and he confounded their language of the people from one single language to many forms of language, and then he dispersed them all over the earth. And yet the people retained the knowledge of pyramid building, and this continued in isolated regions of the earth far from the original center of civilization, which was at that time Mesopotamia or the Middle East. But obviously, after the flood, genetic contamination had only occurred on a smaller scale and isolated only to scattered civilizations throughout the world, because God obviously did not find it necessary to destroy the earth again with a second flood. As the people were dispersed and migrated throughout the world, pyramids continued to be built in Mexico, South America, and South America as well as China, India, and Europe. This is a sun pyramid in. I'm going to share something with you. The Lord gives me pieces of information once in a while, and that's through Spirit. Okay, and I'm going to tell you something. Is that this is again is a replica of Mount Hermon. Okay, high top mountain looks region. You see this lady here, right here. Let's say she's 6 feet. Based on her heights, this platform right here is 14 feet tall. Each stair, there's 12 stairs. Each of those stairs are 14-inch stairs. That's not built on a normal human step. But this is what the Lord showed me. He said, Mark, this structure was not built so humans could walk to the top. This structure was built so something else came down and walked down. This is the podium where they presented themselves to the people. This was the landing pad, and they walked down to present themselves. This is the red carpet for the fallen angels. They went to elaborate lengths to build this. Now, some people will say, what does UFOs have to do with Noah's time? Well, this is going to astound you. If you are able to make all four parts, you're going to see a huge picture that you've never seen before. Scripturally speaking, evidence speaking, and this is the scenario that's going to play out in Operation Majestic, the Secret Covenant, as the part B of the line of the four parts is going to be extremely intense. First Enoch 7:7. Then the fallen angels, they swore altogether, all bound themselves by mutual execrations. Here's that word again. Their whole number was 200, who descended upon Ardis, which is the top of Mount Hermon. The fallen angels make a pact between themselves. Now, specifically 200 of them make this pact to interfere with mankind. And as we read in Jude, verse 6, in the Bible, the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he have reserved in everlasting chains. This is in fact referring to this special group of 200 fallen angels, which means there are millions of fallen angels that are not in chains at this time. Also, Artis, the top of Mount Armon, is the exact same Mount Hermon that we just covered earlier as the exact spot where the fallen angels first descended to earth. This structure was not built so humans could walk to the top. This structure was built so something else came down and walked down. This is the podium where they presented themselves to the people. This was the landing pad, and they walked down to present themselves. This is the red carpet for the fallen angels.